Some of these clowns talk about it, but see, I lived it. When that cell door opens, the talking's over. Ain't no guns, ain't no drive-bys. Get your knife. Straight hand-to-hand combat. Peace, blessings, and salutations. My name is Yurima Karama here with another segment of Voices from Behind the Wall. Wanted to talk a little bit, getting some feedback from some of the viewers, and I wanted to touch on these subjects, a few of the subjects and issues that they wanted me to tap into. One being, this is for the brother, wanted me to touch on religion in prison and how that works. While I was in, I actually I studied with different groups, from the Hebrew Israelites to the Moor Science Temple to the Nation of Islam. And one thing I found about all the groups is you have first of all, it's no different. It's no different than out here in society. I'll call a spade a spade. It's no different. You have your faithful Sunday worshipers who love to go out and party and drink on Saturday night. A prison is no different. You have your faithful. You have your divided. All of these groups are divided, just like out here in society. So the divisions are very unique because out here in society, you're kind of spread out. So it's not as obvious, so to speak. But in prison, it's very obvious because all the groups, we live together in a closed-in environment. So you have your Sunni Muslims. You have your Shiite Muslims. You have your Nation of Islam. You have your Moor Science Temple. These are just four Muslim groups, and they're divided. Every now and then, the Moor Science Temple and the Nation of Islam will come together and connect for a function. But these groups are very much divided. The Sunni Muslims, they are not getting together with Nation of Islam, Moor Science Temple, none of that. Every now and then you get a couple members that might do that. But for the most part, the Sunni Muslims are, they separate themselves from the rest of the Muslim groups. Then you have your Shiite Muslims, which are very, very few in number. And they're separate from the Sunni Muslims, to the point that on Friday Jummah, these groups actually pray at separate times. So on a Friday Jummah, you might have the Nation of Islam, they have their time to pray. The Moor Science Temple, they have their evening service. The Shiite Muslims, they have their time to pray. And then the Sunni Muslims, they have their time to pray. So the groups are very divided. Then you have your Christians, you have your Jewish group, which is very small in number because there's very few Jews within the system itself. Your Muslim groups, or your Christian groups, they are pretty much to themselves as well. And one thing that I found very disdainful for me, which is why I stepped away from religion altogether and really just tapped into the spiritual aspect of my life and spirituality, period, is that I wanted to be one thing about all these groups. And I've read all the books. I've studied all the books, from the Torah to the Holy Quran of Mecca to the Circle 7 for the Moor Science Temple. I was raised up on the Bible. And one of the things, even dealing with the Buddhism, all of these religions teach love. That's the common denominator for all of them, is they all teach love. But all the members of these groups are all divided. And which the one reason I wanted to step away from religion is because I want to be able to break bread with everybody. And in a small closed-in environment for Christians to not want to dialogue and break bread with Muslims and vice versa. Muslims not wanting to dialogue and break bread with Christians, and the Nation of Islam, separating itself from all the other groups, and the other groups separating themselves from the Nation of Islam because, Lord, behold, Farrakhan, he's got to be the worst person on planet Earth. And, just all the nonsense that these groups demonstrate. And it's like, when you really sit back and you just view it, and even out here, and you sit back and you just view it from a spiritual aspect, you just say, okay, I see why this was created. I see why governments love religion, to keep the people divided. So I kind of separated, but that's how the religion works within prison. The other thing that another viewer wanted me to touch on was the death penalty. And this specific viewer wanted me to touch on it. He sent me a video of a white supremacist. Actually, the video was very graphic. But the video he sent me was of a white supremacist, and it's on YouTube. I can't remember the guy's name. Really don't want to. But it's of this white supremacist killing a black guy. Him and the white guy and his partner, they get the black guy. One of them holds him down, and the other one stabs him to death. And they show it actually in the video. Because of the cameras that are in this particular prison facility. And this guy, he wanted me to touch on the death penalty in prison. My issue with the death penalty is I'm not for the death penalty. I don't think that man has the right to make that decision. I think that if you want to have a death penalty, then you should the victim's family should have that say. If the state really wants to have the death penalty, then they should give that right to the victim's family. The reason I'm against the death penalty, and even that, I'm against that. I don't think the victim's family, but if you were going to do it, the only fair way would be to let the victim's family have the final say in what should happen to that person. But the reason I'm against the death penalty is this. In the last decade, you've had hundreds, literally thousands of people taken off death row, exonerated for their crimes. Hundreds, in some cases thousands, taken off death row and exonerated for their crimes. This is all due to DNA testing. So the big elephant in the room is that prior to DNA testing, if you've taken hundreds, possibly thousands of people off of death row and exonerated them because DNA testing has proven their innocence, you can't tell me that the state got it right every time prior to DNA testing. That means that innocent people have been killed. Well, we know that lynching within itself, innocent people were killed. But when we just talk about the death penalty, innocent people were killed. You can't tell me they weren't. If you've let innocent people off because of DNA testing, then prior to DNA testing, that means that the state did not get it right prior. So that's why I'm against the death penalty. Because you have a system that shows fallacy in its procedures. And quite frankly, it's just inhumane the way that they kill a person. It's just inhumane, but we're supposed to be a humane society. The other issue that I wanted to touch on real briefly is a lady posed a question about what do I do about my own financial situation, and did I plan for that? My response to that is that I'm very frugal with money. But being frugal with money doesn't mean that I'm a financial guru. So therefore, I take lessons from brothers like Dr. Boyce Watkins because actually finances, and I'm honest, finances are probably my weakest issue. I just happen to be frugal with money, so I try to save as much as I can. But as far as investing money to produce more money, I couldn't tell you the first thing about it. I really couldn't. And I wish that I could. I wish that I was more astute in that aspect, because that is so important, especially for us as a Black nation. Economics is like very, very important. But I'm not as astute as I would like to be in that area. So what I do is I save. I've started my own business, as I've alluded to and let you know a few times. And with that, I put money into my business that I make. But there's a lot more. There's so much more that I would like to be doing. But you know what? We learn from the cradle to the grave, and those things that I'm not strong in, I have no problem admitting, and I have no problem asking for help. So we learn from the cradle to the grave. So I got a lot of living left to do. And so I'm hoping that I will get it, or that I will at least become better. So to answer your question, I'm my finances, that was probably the one thing that I didn't focus on as much as I should have. And my main focus was being able to get out and get a job and stay out. And sometimes that within itself is a task. That within itself is a task. Staying out of prison sometimes is a task, and I will tap into that in my next segment. And that was another request from a queen that requested I do a segment on PTSD for prisoners that do lengthy incarceration times like I have done, the aspect of PTSD and how that plays on us. So I will tap into that next segment. Again, my name is Yurima Karama, coming to you with Voices from Behind the Wall. Again, you can catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Friend me, let's network. My webpage is www.yurimakarama.com. Also, again, shout outs again to all the viewers. I love you guys. I mean that sincerely. They're just not words. I love you because I love myself. And I appreciate you following me. I appreciate you viewing. I am so very appreciative of the support that you are providing. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Yurima Karama. Peace and love. Testament, I'm on one. Give you the treatment. Represent to a further extent. It's the first volume of my testament. My testament.